All right, so let's learn about how we study culture. All right, so where are anthropologists studying? And this is the first question we usually get. A lot of times when you think about anthropologists, like I've said before, either written out somewhere or in one of these videos, people often will ask you if you're doing things like Indiana Jones, right? But that's the first anthropologist that people come up with. Anthropologists aren't hugely famous people. You don't have this great scholar who is in the public discourse, right? So people don't really know a lot about what anthropologists do. And then you start to read about anthropology, and you mostly are going to be learning about classic ethnographies or classic writings about different cultures, and those usually took place prior to the 1970s. Anthropologists were working in exotic places, far-off places like Papua New Guinea, Sub-Saharan Africa, Far East Asia, places that were very different from the culture they originated from. Okay, so anthropologists prior to the 1970s were generally Western scientists, generally white males. Okay, we're starting to see a shift in that, as I've mentioned before, but at that time they came from this Western culture, and so we're traveling to very distant and far-off places in an attempt to study those cultures. Okay, but now cultural anthropologists are still focusing on those areas, obviously, but also are focusing on closer to home cultures, okay, or settings. So a lot of times now you see anthropologists studying their own cultures. And so for my master's thesis, that's what we did. We looked at culture of Denver, Colorado, okay, a very specific community, but it wasn't a far-off, distant culture. It wasn't somewhere in Belize or somewhere in East Asia. It was somewhere very close to home. And so we start to see that a lot more now. But that doesn't mean the methods are much different. Okay. So what we'd like to talk about is how do we learn about other ways of life, which is the goal of cultural anthropology, right? So within that, what is so distinctive about anthropological fieldwork? Why is it different? Why is it special or interesting to talk about? And then, besides participant observation and interviews, which we'll learn about, what other methods do anthropologists use? What else can we do? And then we've already kind of talked about this, but some ethical dilemmas. As I said, we'll talk about this throughout the semester. So as an ethnographer, what are some special ethical dilemmas we might face?